Hello everyone, welcome back to Cheap Comic Collector. This is episode number 12. Fly on my comics. Today we're going to be trying something a little bit different. Going to be going through these comics that I've recently read. These inspired this segment to because each issue was kind of a surprise to me over what was in it. Having read them, I wasn't aware of some of the things I ran into, and I thought it might make an interesting video instead of just yet another, going through showing a whole bunch of covers out of the books that I bought cheaply. A lot more of that coming. I do have I think 11, 12 boxes that I haven't showed you yet. But this segment I'm going to call what am I reading? And so we're going to be going through What If number 35. The first 3 issues of Weird World from 2015. But to start it off, we're going to start off with this issue, Weird Mystery number 1 from 1972. Now this particular comic is a very poor copy. I had to actually tape with archival tape all 4 sides to stop it from deteriorating any further. You can see up here in the corner how bad the chipping was, and I think it's actually detached on the front staple. So, but there is a couple surprises inside. So, this is Weird Mystery Tales number 1 from 1972. The cover's by Mike Kaluta. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And it's a nice cover. Doesn't have really anything to do with what's inside. So, when I opened it up and started reading, well, first of all, I enjoyed the very 70s Mattel ad for a second. And then we got to this page, which immediately, if you look at this character right here, that's obviously a Jack Kirby character. And so I was really surprised to see there was Jack Kirby art in this book. I wasn't expecting that at all. I knew Kirby left Marvel to, work for DC in the 70s. But I knew that's when he created the New Gods characters, Darkseid and all that. But I wasn't really aware of anything else he had done. So I was really surprised to see this in here. So this panel here is Jack Kirby. I did a little research after I saw Jack Kirby was in this, and apparently the story that was in here was actually intended for Spirit World number 2, which was a magazine that Jack Kirby did for DC. Was canceled after only 1 issue. I guess it just didn't sell. But Jack Kirby was all into trying larger and different formats, and he's one of the great artists, probably the most well-known artist that's ever been in comic books. I do prefer his work with Joe Simon and Stan Lee rather than the work he did on his own, just because I don't feel like he was that strong of a writer. But that's just me. And this character here, this is actually Destiny. This was drawn by Bernie Wrightston when they decided to put this into this comic book. So this is the first appearance of Destiny, who basically just acted as a host for the stories in these series until, later he was introduced into the DC universe as an actual character. And then, you go in here, and then, this page here leaves no doubt that this was Jack Kirby. Just classic Jack Kirby artwork coming at you, popping off the page. Just very, very, very Jack Kirby. And I enjoyed this artwork. A lot of the DC artwork, the later, the Forever People, Mr. Miracle artwork and stuff by Jack Kirby, I don't enjoy it that much because, to me, the characters all kind of look the same. They all have that look about them, which is, classic Jack Kirby. but I preferred it more when he actually drew people like this guy down here, where yeah, they actually look like real people. And another again, this story is about basically characters from the what do you want to call it, the horoscope characters. Leo, Cancer the Crab. This one's Cancer the Crab. And the story itself, honestly, it's hard to read. It's not that very interesting. The artwork is phenomenal on this. The storyline was kind of hard to follow. And I wasn't impressed by the story. The artwork is amazing. And the next two issues of this series, 2 and 3, I don't own, but apparently they also have Jack Kirby stories in them that were intended for Spirit World number 2. So after that story ends, we got a small direct currents, and all DC magazines now, they're only 20 cents. Yeah, this comic book actually came out when I was 5 years old. So, and then the second story is by Howard Purcell. It's inked by Jack Abel. It's a much better story. It's kind of it's about two people born at the same time with the same name, two different places that kind of have this psychic connection. And it's a more interesting story. It's nothing phenomenal, but it's a better story than the first one. It was better written. The artwork by Howard Purcell, it's adequate. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not spectacular, but it's adequate. It's the characters look different. They don't all look the same. You can tell what's going on. It's good stuff. And then this is actually the longer of the two. And then at the back, you got this 2-page text story that's written by Mark Evanier and Steve Sherman, who were Jack Kirby's assistants at the time. So this was obviously intended also for Spirit World number 2. But I was surprised to see Jack Kirby artwork in that. I never really, I thought it would just be a kind of a random DC horror book, even though it was a number 1. And it was fun to look through. It was a fun read, just even though, the stories weren't all that spectacular. And we'll move on to the Weird World. These 3 issues, these are the first 3 issues from the first series in 2015. They, I guess there were 5 issues before it rebooted into a second volume, which I think had 6 issues. It spun out of Secret Wars when they reformed the world with Emperor Doom and all that. So I didn't know a lot about this. Obviously, it was some kind of sword and sorcery type book. I usually enjoy those kind of books. But the star of this book is actually Archon, the Avengers villain, basically as a barbarian type character, trying to find his way home through Weird World. So that was interesting. I'm usually not a fan of this style of painted artwork. Let's see, this series was written by Jason Aaron, and the covers and the insides were all painted by Mike Del Mundo. Not familiar with either one of those names, but this artwork did grow on me. By the time I got to the second issue, this artwork fits the story perfectly. So while I, just flipping through it, I don't know that I would have bought this book because of the artwork. But once I had it and read it, it perfectly complements the story. It's an interesting read if you like fantasy stories. It features some surprising characters. Like I said, Archon is the lead. Skull the Slayer shows up. Morgan Le Fay is the witch, and the man things. There's a forest of man things that come along. And if you're a fan of Kristar the Crystal Warrior, he's in this too, kind of. I did a little research. He is. Let's see if I can find the part where it shows him here. Okay, so that's not him. This is Warbow, another warrior from Crystalium. And so Kristar is actually and let me see if I can find it here. This artwork is, the more I look at it, the more it grows on me. I really started enjoying the artwork. Okay, yeah, so in this sack, that's Kristar. He's in shards. And I'm not familiar with the Kristar saga. I've never read any of those issues, but I know the name. And I just thought it was hilarious that this guy's carrying around a sack of crystal shards, and it's supposed to be Kristar. You don't know if he's, if he's out of his mind, or if there's some way to revive him, or what. I did cheat a little bit before I recorded this video and look at some descriptions of the 2 issues that I'm missing. And it does look like in the 5th issue that he is restored, so maybe I should put spoilers warnings on this stuff, I don't know. But, so in this issue, basically, there's a lot of fighting. I think this is the one Skull the Slayer shows up in. And then, they end up surrounded by man things at the end, as in plural, like a whole forest of man things. There they are. Let's see if you can see the glowing eyes, so you can tell that they're man things. And that was the end of the issue, so don't quite know what happens after that. I might go online and read them because it was a good story. So that's those. And then, last but not least, we have What If number 35. What if Elektra had lived? And what if Yellow Jacket had died? So the cover here is by Ed Hannigan with inks by Terry Austin. Decent cover. Kind of surprised it wasn't a Frank Miller cover, since the main story is classic Frank Miller, which kind of surprised me. He had his whole run on Daredevil. This obviously came out around that time. And, if you don't have this in your collection and you have those in your collection, you probably want to add this one. It's basically shows the Watcher talking to Daredevil at Elektra's grave. And then they go into the story as what if Bullseye had not killed Elektra? Written and penciled by Frank Miller, inks by Terry Austin. Classic Frank Miller, Daredevil, Elektra art. All amazing. Storyline's nice, fun, easy to follow. And, if you wanted Elektra to have lived, this kind of shows what would happen if that had been the case. So, and then in the middle, this was the surprise, the cat people. The untold, or thus are born the cat people. Wasn't mentioned on the cover. Wasn't expecting a 3rd story in here. So this one is done by, let's see, Roger Stern was the writer, and surprise, surprise, Steve Ditko was the artist. Now Steve did some, art for Marvel. He did Speedball and some things around this time. And so this is basically the origin of the cat people, where Tigra came from. And like I said, I'm not a real big fan of Steve Ditko's later artwork. This is a little bit better than some of the others that I've seen, but it's still very flat to me. I don't know. It's just. I mean, that's the Watcher. I mean, that's. It's just typical Steve Ditko, where he draws the characters the way he wants to, and I don't know. It just It's interesting. He definitely has his own art style. But you know, back when he did like Amazing Spider-Man, I mean, those issues were awesome. So I don't know how over time, in my opinion, your art gets worse. But there's a couple other artists that I feel that way about too. And then we have the Avengers story. This one is What If Yellow Jacket Had Died? And it basically tells the story of the Wasp wishing Captain America was dead because she blames him and the Avengers for Yellow Jacket's death. So that was an interesting read. This one was by Alan Zelenitz, art by Greg LaRocque, inks by Mike Esposito and Sal Trapani. And it was an interesting read. Different take on, definitely a different take on the Wasp character. And it's interesting to speculate how things could have went a different direction. So that's what I read. After this, I think I get into some Wonder Woman, which I've never read before. So if you found this interesting, let me know in the comments. We'll do some more maybe. The next one will probably be another unboxing. I bought a couple boxes that I overpaid for. They cost way more than $1. They cost, I think they came out to like $2.20 an issue. And I just got caught up in a bidding war with some people and wanted the books. But so tune in next time. You'll see what I overbid on that I wanted so bad. I think you'll be surprised on what it is. So have a good one. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. And have a great day.